a series of poses, more of a flow or a sequence that we're going to do today. So it's great to learn the different poses, but part of the beauty of yoga is then putting it all together in a bit of practice. So this should be about 25 minutes or so, and it should be fairly all abilities. We spend a bit of time resting on our wrists, so that might be something you have to build up to do, and you might need to take a few breaks as we go through. But this is all to do with developing and building the kind of strength that you need in order to be able to move in a more effortless and a stronger fashion in day-to-day life, and also within your yoga practice or within your sort of wider fitness practice as well. So as I said, take any breaks that you need as we go along. I'll be kind of interspersing the series with a few breaks as we go along as well. If anything is particularly aggravating with any issues that you might have, then just leave that out and rejoin us when we move on to the next pose. So keep your eyes out on the Flint House YouTube page, so you can always subscribe, so click the button below, subscribe, and then you'll get any notifications when we bring out new videos as well. But I'll be looking to kind of add some more difficult series as well as we go along. So watch this space. So let's dive right in and let's get going. So we're going to start off on hands and knees, and getting set up here is really mega important. So I'm going to get you to place your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. So really get yourself squared off first of all here. Head should be pointing straight down towards the ground, so that should extend the line of your spine straight out towards the wall opposite you. And we just want to think, the way I imagine it is I picture maybe a bubble or a balloon inflating up underneath me, so that rather than collapsing into this pose, I'm just going to grow up tall out of this pose, and you might feel your shoulders activating to do that. You might feel your core, your tummy muscles activating to do that. So we're going to start with a bit of spinal flexibility and awareness, so we're going to move into cow pose. So cow pose would involve relaxing our spine down towards the ground, looking up ahead of us and sending our tailbone up towards the ceiling. Then we're going to round through our tailbone and let that rounding follow all the way through the spine, dropping our head, crown of the head towards the ground into cat pose. And we're just going to slowly move through those two another 3 or 4 times. So feeling that you're really actively pressing away from the ground with your arms, and just keeping a real awareness on what your spine is doing as we go through. Giving your neck plenty of space as we go between poses. Okay, so finish off your last set there. And then we're going to settle into a neutral spine. So that would be the halfway point between those two extremes of movement. So for me, this would feel like the crown of my head is lengthening away towards one wall, spine stays nice and long through my neck, and my tailbone is lengthening towards the wall away from me. So I'm basically going to feel like I've got this long line straight through my spine, keeping my spine in a nice straight position, a nice neutral position. So from here, we're going to see whether we can tick-tock forwards and backwards, keeping that lovely neutral spine as we go through. And you could just move as far as you feel comfortable going. Nice place to stretch out your wrists. And we're just going to go to and fro. And you'll see I'm trying to keep my spine nice and straight, nice and neutral here as we go. We're learning to articulate through our shoulders and our hips. And this feels as though I've got a bit of activity going on here to give me a bit of support. Okay. So coming back up to centre again, can we extend the leg out? So we're going to press away through the heel. We're going to press the heel towards the opposite wall behind me there. If you feel really lovely and stable there, you can just hover your foot a couple of centimetres off the floor. And if you still feel stable, then you can extend an arm out at the same time. So for those of you where it's enough pressure on your wrist to be on 2 hands, you're going to keep both hands there. And for extending there, you're then going to come through, you're going to see whether you can touch knee to nose. Lengthen away, knee to nose. With arm involved as well, that would look like this. So stretch and lengthen, knee to nose. And you'll notice as I lengthen, I'm not caving through my back. I'm staying nice and active through my tummy muscles. So we're going to pop that hand down, we're going to swap over. So we're going to press left heel out away from you. Feel that length from the crown of the head through to your heel. If you can, hover that leg off, and if you want to, you can join in with the arm as well. So then we're going to go knee to nose. Use those abs, and then press away again. Make sure as you're doing this, you're staying nice and tall up through your shoulders. Keep that bubble beautifully inflated, and to add in arms with it like this. Two more. Lovely. And now we're going to give our wrists a bit of a break. So we're going to bring knees together and feet together. And then we're going to rest ourselves down, forehead to the mat. And then we're going to paint our hands down by our sides and relax there. We're going to take 4 lovely deep breaths, filling the back of our rib cage and filling the back of our lungs. And if you want to, you can just pinch your fingertips together to give your wrists a bit of a stretch in the opposite direction. Okay, take hands through. Come up onto your hands again. We're going to do a bit more core strengthening. So we're going to put knees together and feet together. Lift our feet. We're going to roll onto the right hand side of our knees. So we're going to think about kicking that right shin out at a 90-degree angle to the mat. So from here, we're going to pull our weight into our right hand. We're going to gradually, as if we're drawing a bow, reach up towards the ceiling. Now if you want to, you can then press a leg out away from you. This is called gate pose. If you want to get a bit of extra length, then you can also reach arm towards the short edge of the mat at the top there. But we're getting that strong sense of a connecting line, or a pulling, or a line drawing through from fingertip to heel still. So we're still keeping that sensation of lengthening. If you want to, you can also hover that top leg off. We're just going to balance there. Remember that we need space through our neck, so we don't want to be hunching shoulders up around our ears. Okay, now with control, we're then going to pour our weight back into both hands. We're going to keep the weight in our right knee, and then we're going to step through with our left leg. So we're going to come up into a low lunge. Now, as you have seen on the lunge video that I did before, a lot of people want to dump in and hang into that movement straight away. We're not going to do that because we're thinking about fostering strength and support. So we're going to bring hips back. So can you see that my hip is stacked on top of my back knee? And in this position, we're going to think about getting our weight square into that front foot and just centering our weight through our back knee as well, so we're getting as much support as possible. We're going to think about lengthening our tailbone down towards the ground. We're going to think about using our lower abs just to give us a bit of a sense of support in order to be able to lengthen up out of this pose. If you're doing that and you can still come forwards a little bit, then fantastic. But we're just going to kind of work within our limits and work within what we can do here. So if you're feeling quite balanced there, then let's challenge that. So we're going to bring hands to your chest, and we're just going to do a bit of a gentle twist. And that should be something that challenges your balance a little bit. If you've got full range in your shoulders, then we're going to come all the way up, and then we're going to see, can we lengthen arms to front and back of the mat. Then we're going to come up and we're going to see whether we can twist the other way. And come up. We'll do this twice more each way. Remember to give your neck space as you're moving. So weight down into your hands. We might want to just scoot front foot out a little bit. So we're going to come into a runner's lunge here. So we're just going to basically be aiming here to stretch out hamstrings and calves. So we're going to think about dialing our hips back there, and we're going to flex our foot. And that should feel like enough of a stretch in itself. If that feels like it's something that just feels like a really horrible stretch, then we can also just soften that knee. And you should find that targets your hamstrings a bit more, but maybe is a little bit more gentle. So we're going to think about lengthening out through the crown of our head as we breathe in. And then as we breathe out, we're just going to fold forwards into that position a little bit more. Once we've got as far as we can there, we can just relax your head down as well. And that gives the whole of the back of your body a beautiful stretch there. Give those toes a wiggle. Okay. We're going to roll on through onto that front foot again. And then we're going to bring our left hand onto the inside of our left foot. And we're going to bring our left foot just falling off the edge of the mat. So my heel's on the mat, the front of my foot is off the mat. And we're going to come into lizard pose. So lizard pose, you can stay up on our hands, or if you're flexible enough, then you can come down onto your elbows. And you can obviously use a yoga block should you want to as well. So you can probably feel this is a really good hip opener, really good also for stretching out that back hip flexor. If you want to give yourself a bit of an extra stretch, come onto your right elbow and push that knee away, but only if that's painful for you to do so. Okay, to come back up, you're going to walk your foot back in again. So we're going to then just bring that back knee back, and then we're going to come into child's pose. So we're going to come back and relax again. Now, some of you might find knees together a bit uncomfortable, so we might bring knees a bit wider this time. So you're going to do knees wider, hands out in front of you. We're going to do 4 breaths here. Really thinking about filling the back of your rib cage, filling the back of your lungs with every in-breath. And then feeling that relaxation, that sense of letting go as we breathe out. And we're going to empty, empty, empty as we breathe out. Breathing in, maybe stretching your arms a little bit further forwards. And as we breathe out, just relaxing into that pose, relaxing forehead to ground. One more deep breath in your own time. Okay, we're going to come back up onto hands and knees. I'm going to have a twizzle round so you can see what I'm doing, and I haven't got my back to you. But now we're going to come up onto our knees again, feet together, and we're going to roll onto our left hand side, so onto our left knee. Left shin bone should be at right angles to the mat, and we should have already felt weight pouring into the left hand here. So from there we can draw the bow up, we can extend our top arm there. Right leg is going to just extend out on the floor to start off until we've got our balance. So we want to think about growing up really tall out of this pose. So our hand is that contact with the ground, we're going to gain energy from the ground, we're going to grow up tall through that arm, through that shoulder, through our torso, dialing our heart up towards the ceiling and out through the other arm. And should we want to give ourselves a really lovely side body stretch, we're just going to now extend our arm towards the short edge of the mat. So we can also extend that top leg as well if we want to, and that's a bit more of a balance. So you're going to really be conscious of that connection. Even if you've done this video a couple of times, you can still enrich the experience. So think about fingertip to heel connection. Really think about making that line as long and as active as possible. Lovely. And then we're going to, with control, pour our weight back into our right hand again. Come back onto our left knee. And then we're going to bring our right leg through, and we're going to do a low lunge. So, bring our weight off our hands and onto our knee and our foot. Now for those of you, if you find that your knees get a bit sore resting on your knees, you can also just fold over the long edge of the mat just to double up the mat. So if any of you are finding that the pressure on your knee is a bit too much, then you can always do that. So I'm going to think about spreading the toes on my right foot, getting my weight into the middle of my right foot, and I'm also thinking about grounding down through my left knee as well, so that I've got a really stable base to start off with. If you want a bit of a tightrope, then you can always put your feet that little bit wider just to make balancing a little bit easier. So we're going to again bring these hips back, make sure we can get that tailbone nice and heavy, nice and tucked down towards the ground. And that should feel as though it activates you here through your tummy muscles. Should feel as though you get a bit more support in that position. And then if you feel comfortable, you can come forwards a little bit as long as you're well supported and you're not compromising your position through the back there. So we can either do this variation here with our palms at our chest. That's good for those of you with maybe slightly limited shoulder range. Or we can reach up. We're going to do 3 each way. So we're going to really think about fingertip to fingertip connection. Up again. And then reach the other way. Lovely spinal twist. So making sure we're breathing. So as we reach fingertips towards the short edges, you're going to breathe out. As we reach up and we lengthen and we energise, we're going to breathe in. So out as we lengthen. And then up towards the ceiling. One more set on each side. You should feel like you're working your obliques, your transverse abdominis, really good for core strength here. Good. So we're going to come down now to half split. Walk one foot out in front of you. We're going to flex that front foot. So remember, we can bend that knee in order to mean that we can come into that pose a bit more comfortably. If you feel as though you can, then you can straighten that leg and you can probably already feel a big old stretch down the back of your leg. So we're going to breathe in to lengthen out through the crown of our head. And then as we breathe out, we're just going to fold forwards that little bit more. We're just going to relax there. Try and notice if you're clenching your jaw or if you're holding your breath, which a lot of us do when we're stretching or when we're in a bit of discomfort. We'll actually stretch a lot more effectively, we'll gain a lot better flexibility and strength if we breathe in a nice relaxed manner as we go through. Lovely, so using your core as well to do this movement now, we're going to roll on through that front foot. So really pay attention to how we're moving between poses. And then we're going to go into lizard pose, so that lovely hip opener. So we're going to bring our right hand to the inside of our left foot. We're going to creep that right foot out, creep it out like a little lizard, heels on the mat, forefoot's off the mat. And we'll either be up on our hands or we can come down onto our elbows. Now you could use a folded up towel or a block as well to get down into this pose. And again, this is quite an intense pose, so make sure you're breathing. And for those of you who want to intensify that a little bit more, we can then press out away through that knee, give that hip a little bit more of a stretch. Be nice and careful that you're not wrenching any structures that don't want to go there. Lovely. So coming back up onto your hands, we're going to walk that little lizard foot back in again. And then we're going to bring that right leg back into hands and knees. Now we can do one of the two child pose variations, so either knees together and hands down by your side, or knees apart and hands out in front of you. For those of you who want to give the soles of your feet a bit of a stretch though, we're going to now tuck toes under and just make sure that all of your toes are tucked under there. And we're just going to rest up in this high kneel position. Again, you can always prop this up with a towel behind your knees or something like that. If you really want to give your feet a good stretch, fingertips on the ground, and just come up onto your toes. And if you want to practice balancing there, then you can come up onto your toes and have a little balance there. This is all really good for foot health, so looking after those feet, making sure those plantar fascias are nice and flexible, and also ensuring our feet are lovely and strong as well. So fingertips on the ground, come back down again. And for those of you in child's pose, we're going to come up out of child's pose. And then we're going to do some sitting poses. So we're going to do cobbler's pose first. So cobbler's pose is that pose where you have little froggy legs, so knees out to the side. So we're going to bring soles of the feet together, and we're going to let our knees drape out to the side. So various ways you can make this a little bit more comfortable. You can either put feet out in front of you a little bit further, or you can also sit up on a towel, a block, a cushion, anything like that, just to bring yourself up a little bit. I'm going to bring my feet in just a little way, and this is a lovely place just to give your feet a bit of attention. So you can always give the soles of your feet a bit of a rub, work into any spots that are a little bit tight, a little bit uncomfortable there. So for those of you who do get sore feet after a long day at work, this might be a really nice place to just give them a little bit of a stretch out as well. So we're going to use the idea of using our breath in order to stretch into this pose now. So if you'll remember, our in-breath is our energising and lengthening breath, our out-breath is our relaxing and surrendering breath. So we're going to breathe in to lengthen. We're going to imagine the crown of our head drawing up towards the ceiling as if it's pulled up by marionette strings. And then we're going to use our out-breath to fold forwards and to move into that pose. So we're going to take a breath in to lengthen. And then we're going to breathe out to lengthen and relax. So we're going to breathe in to lengthen. all about just getting that stretch and experiencing that stretch and experiencing that nice mobilising experience. Okay, so coming back up again from your centre, we can use our hands to bring our knees back in again. So one leg goes out away from you, and the other leg stays in towards you. So make sure that you're on both of your sit bones, both of your bum bones. Make sure your bum bones are grounding down through into the floor. We're again going to use that idea of that puppet string, or maybe we can imagine a balloon attached to the crown of our head to draw us up towards the ceiling. So we're thinking about that lovely lengthening effect again of those two opposing forces of sit bones down, crown of the head up. So I'm going to bring left hand up behind me, right arm reaches up to lengthen, breathe in, and as I breathe out I'm just going to rotate and give my knee a lovely hug there. So if you want to think about other things in this pose, maybe you've done this video a couple of times, you could also turn your focus onto your right foot, so making sure that your right foot is pointing up towards the ceiling, and that you're sitting on a nice active right leg as well as your left leg helping in that pose. So we're just going to breathe here for a couple more breaths. So as we breathe in, we're going to lengthen up with the crown of our head. As we breathe out, we're just going to rotate into it a little bit more. And if your neck allows it, then we can always look over our left shoulder. And we can imagine that lovely ringing out effect on our spine here as we do this. So coming out of this pose, we're going to bring the other knee in, left leg out. We're going to think about those lovely active toes. Right arm sweeps round behind. And then we're going to think about lengthening up, breathe in. And then as we breathe out, we're going to twist and hug that right knee. So breathing in to bring energy into that pose, thinking about those opposing forces, sit bones and crown of our head. And then as we breathe out, we're just going to rotate to our right. And if you want to look over your right shoulder, you can do that. To finish, we're just going to do a bridge and then we'll do a quick relaxation at the end. So we're going to roll ourselves down onto our back. Now you could come onto your elbows and then work your way down. And if anyone who's doing this video has a bit of a sore neck or anything like that, you might just want to put a pillow or a rolled up towel underneath your head just to get your spine in a nice position. So with the bridge, we're not going to be lifting as high as we can. We're going to be thinking about moving mindfully. We're going to be thinking about experiencing the movement as we go up and down into the bridge. So first of all, we're just going to think about rolling our pelvis backwards to imprint our spine onto the ground, and you should feel your spine come into contact with the ground. Tailbone heels up towards the ceiling. And we're going to keep that sensation of that tailbone lifting as though somebody's got hold of it and they're just lifting, lifting, lifting. We're going to feel our vertebrae lifting one at a time off the ground. Now I'm not going to go too high. You can see here I'm keeping my rib cage on the ground, keeping my shoulders and my neck nice and long and relaxed. In order to come back down again, I'm going to articulate each vertebrae at a time, all the way down again to the ground, and come back into my nice relaxed position. So we're going to do 3 more of those. So we're going to roll backwards, tailbone lifts up towards the ceiling. We might think about our spine like a string of beads. Somebody's got the end of that string of beads and they're just lifting us up. And then feel that lovely, delicious articulation as we come back down again. So feel our spine curving, making a convex curve as we come back down again. And then back to neutral. 2 more. Rolling backwards, tailbone lifts up. I sometimes think about a little plane taking off as though my tailbone's a plane. Lovely, and then articulating all the way back down again. If you haven't thought about this yet, make sure you're breathing. Okay, one last one. Wonderful. Now we're just going to do 5 relaxed breaths in any relaxation pose. So for you, that might be that you come up into a seated position again. It might be that we stay here, but we just let our knees knock together. So if you have a sore back, if you have back pain and lying flat on your back is really uncomfortable, then I would suggest you do this pose. It allows your hip flexors to really hang out and have a nice relax. It means you're not having to work hard to maintain your posture. And for those of you that are comfortable doing so, we're just going to lengthen out each leg in turn, let our feet drop out, and we're going to let our palms point up towards the ceiling. And this is corpse pose. We would think this would be one of the most easy poses of yoga, but actually it takes a long time to get comfortable and to get used to. So if you want to choose any of the other options in order to relax in, then feel free. So I'm actually going to place one hand on my chest and one hand on my abdomen. We're just going to take a big, relaxed, buoyant breath in. And then as we breathe out, we're going to let our breath go. We're going to feel our body grow heavy on the ground. Breathing in next time, we're going to think about really filling our lungs and filling our abdomen. And then feel our lungs and our abdomen empty all the way out as we breathe out. So we're thinking about a really active 360-degree breath. So no extra strain anywhere in particular in order to breathe in. And then that 360-degree breath out as well. And already you may feel your body growing a little bit heavier on the ground. Breath in, feel that energizing in-breath. And then as you breathe out, just let every little bit of breath go. So that at the end of that breath out, a nice buoyant in-breath just feels really natural. And you might choose to stay here for a little bit more relaxation, a little bit more mindfulness. But if not, we're just going to roll onto our side, pushing ourselves up into sitting. Come back to centre. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Any comments or questions, just put them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. And I'm going to be doing a few more series of videos over the next few weeks, just with different variations, different poses and different abilities. So have a play, do this a few times, get used to the sequence, challenge yourself, think about all these little extra bits that you can be working on at the same time, and enjoy. Take care.